The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday, TGIF. It's Friday. And again, it's a day in a riv. But look, I guess the last show we was talking about knives starting to outweigh the shootings, and they had to prove us wrong again, right?
Of course. Yep.
Drivers reports being shot at McDonald's drive-thru.
I'll have a Big Mac meal, a 45 and a 357.
Yeah.
And I'll have a Diet Coke with no ice.
Yeah, this is it, and this is the delivery driver got out of his vehicle, told the man to get away when he wanted him to buy him a burger, and he said, "I'll kill you right here," the identified man said, according to Robinson. "I'll pop him right here. I should pop him," unquote. Well, here we go again, Fall River. You know, you get, and that's the same drive-through that it's been a while, but there was somebody killed in that drive-through. I don't know how many years ago already, because time flies when you're having fun in the Riv. But there was somebody killed in that drive-through, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but this McDonald's is a problem. This has become such a nuisance property that when the police department is called, it's reported that they don't even bother coming anymore. The homeless hang around there. They berate the customers. They bang on the car windows, asking for money. If you leave your car door open, it's happened to me, that you leave your car door open and you're sitting in your car, they come right over, push their way into your car, and they're looking for change. They say, "You got any change for me?" And I'm like, "Get out of here. I've got nothing for you." They overdose in the bathroom there regularly. Almost, you know, it's almost like daily. And the city does absolutely nothing about this McDonald's. Absolutely nothing. So people are saying, don't shop, don't go buy stuff there. Not that you should, because
put a few of the people that are working in Fall River out of work. That's a good, that's a good solution. But let's not just deal with our innate problem. But then again, what is the answer? Fall River developers, both of whom are campaign supporters of the mayor. That's where the mayor had his time at one of them, and the other guy was his finance guy. They got tax breaks. If you got $3.35 million and $2.26 million to invest in a property, I don't think you really need a TIF. You've gotten enough. You know, this is ridiculous. And they're gonna, what are they gonna do? Market rate housing. Market rate housing for what? Who in the hell is gonna come to this city? Well, will somebody wake up? You know, and will our city council and our TIF board wake up with the market rate housing? I'm going to read the article that you sent me.
Yep.
Actually. Eviction rates alarming in gateway cities. And what is gateway city a euphemism of? The pathetic, poor cities where nobody's got a job, and they're the lowest income cities in the state. That's what gateway, that's the euphemism for gateway. Housing markets in gateway cities are characterized by blighted properties, an increased vacancy rate, and tepid, in case you don't know what tepid means, it means kind of lukewarmish, long-term growth in home values. Well, that's Fall River in a nutshell, and all the other gateway cities. And they're talking about eviction rates. Of course there's going to be high eviction rates. These people don't have any money. The average income is $22,000 a year. Of course you're going to have a higher eviction rate. And we got some of the lowest rents in the Commonwealth, if not the lowest rents in the Commonwealth, and people can't pay their rent. And the property owners get barraged with tax increases. And then we got all the rich people building market rate housing, which will ultimately become subsidized housing, because let's face it, come on, will you? God, is everybody in this community that naive? every other day. Shootings in drive-thrus, casings all over the place, stabbings everywhere. You can't walk down the street. But remember, Jazel said the town's getting safer. Yeah, I can see somebody who can afford the kind of rent you have to pay in market rate housing, leaving Weymouth or Newton or Wellesley or Framingham to run down to Fall River to grab market rate housing and then drive back to Boston where they work, because they sure as hell don't work in Fall River if they're living in those places. Tax breaks for the rich, college for the rich. They can pay for somebody to take the SATs for their kids. They can bribe the coaches to say they're athletes when they're not, and they get into college. Tell me we don't have a tale of two countries here, the rich and the poor. And we've got our politicians that continue to foster this. You know, these TIFs and these buildings are going to go into your tax rate. The few people who are left that have worked for a living or are living on fixed incomes and can't get out of this community, because as the article said, and I'll read it again, just that section. Communities, and long-term, very slow long-term growth rates and blighted properties and low property values. You can't sell your house. You can't get out of here. You don't make enough money to go out and buy a house, like the yuppies in Cambridge that were complaining they only had $500,000 to buy a house because it's $1.6 million. Or they could buy 4 houses down here. Do you think those yuppies are thinking about coming to Fall River and getting market rate housing? I doubt it. I doubt it. Talk about the ostrich approach to reality. Our council, our government, has got their head so far up their derriere, it's amazing they haven't suffocated already.
See, here's the problem.
You wonder why this city never improves? This is always the answer. Give the rich people more breaks, override our tax rate, even though we got the money to pay for a school, and keep dumping the damn burden on people who can't afford it. Take what little money away from the people who do actually have a job and can keep small businesses in business, and take that away from them. And then they wonder why we can't keep businesses. Of course we can't keep businesses, because the rich people don't go here. Where do they go? They're going to go dine in Providence. They're going to go dine in Boston. They don't go to Fall River restaurants. You might get shot. You can't even stop for a hamburger without getting accosted. This is, I mean, look, this is just, this is like, you know, you say they can't see the forest for the tree. They can't see anything except their own intestines. You're reading, CJ. I don't know what you're reading.
No, I'm sitting here thinking, because I have a problem with this Cadero property.
Oh.
It's at the corner of Troy and Purchase Street. And he wants to put in 16 units there. Now, under city ordinance, that means there's supposed to be 2 cars for every unit, minimum. So that's 32 cars. Troy and Purchase Street, right at the lights. You know where the bank is?
Yeah.
Right across the street from the bank.
No, I know.
That
But I'm trying to think of the property. I'm trying to visualize the property. That's all. I know where it is, but obviously I'm trying to.
That used to be a job center years ago. And
I'm trying to think of what it used to be. Yeah, but look again. Where is it going to be?
Where's the parking? Where are you going to park 32 cars? Nobody cares about that. The Zoning Board of Appeals didn't even ask that question. The City Council hasn't asked that question.
Well, who is it?
Right?
Who's asking?
I know, that's
let's look at the two names. C.J. Ferry, go ask if you can build something, and if you don't have the parking places, you know what the Zoning Board of Appeals is going to do to you. You know, the bottom line is, and again, what disturbs me is TIF. TIF after TIF after TIF. Why don't you make it a back-end TIF? Tell them you're going to pay the full nut for your taxes for the first 5 years, and then you'll incrementally get a tax break after you prove your investment is going to actually do what you said it was going to do.
Right.
You
Well,
don't know, but they won't do that because these are the rich guys. I'll bet you if we look at the campaign contribution list, their names are on it.
Oh, of course.
For 90% of the politicians that are approving these TIFs.
Now,
and, you know, that's the thing that disturbs me because, look, I don't give a damn. If you want to give out a TIF, let's let the politicians put it in their tax rate, not ours. Everybody gets a TIF except you and I. I've owned a house in this city for over 40 years. Can I get a TIF now? I've proven I've stayed in this city. Do I get a TIF? Do I ever get a tax break? That'll be the damn day. The people who take it on the chin every time, and the rich guys, they get to operate because that's their business plan. That's the biggest con in the world. Let me operate my business for free and you will benefit. That was called at one time trickle-down economics. And you know what trickles down? Crap. That's what rolls, because it rolls downhill. They proved trickle-down economics didn't work. When Reagan started with the trickle-down economics, what happened? You make all these businesses rich and everybody else will get rich because you will benefit. Horse shit. Where's it? What did they do? The first thing they did after they started with the trickle-down was the largest profit-making bank in the United States fired all their full-time employees except the executives and hired them all back part-time with no benefits. So that worked. They lost money. They lost benefits. And then they started sending car manufacturers to Mexico. And now we're complaining because we have to pay a tariff on the cars coming back into the United States from a United States manufacturer. And you got the Dems yelling, oh, this is going to kill us. No, you guys killed us with NAFTA. Why did you allow American companies to go down there, fire all their American employees, put them out of work so you could go down there and pay a Mexican $1 an hour? And now you're going to ship us back the car. And you don't want a tariff on it? It's costing you about 70% less to make that car in Mexico than it did here. And then you're going to complain. So they get it on every end. They get a tax break. They get cheap labor. They can move out of the country. They got tax loopholes forever. I mean, for God's sakes, when are the people in this country going to learn that we need a revolution? We need to throw everybody out on every level of government and continue to throw them out until they remember that we once had a middle class, that the taxpayers should rule this country, not the rich, not the nauseous. And in every facet of our life, whether it's in the judicial system where you can get off with 2 days for faking a hate crime that could have cost people their lives, because as I said, if he didn't get caught, how many riots would have been in Chicago? How many police shootings would have been because this man was victimized in a hate crime? Nothing. Rich people get off in the judicial system. Rich people get tax breaks, get to move half their company overseas and make their product cheaper, bring it back into the United States and complain about tariffs. Shit. Christ. Just send them the check. Don't even make them go through it. Just say, look, everybody move out of the country. Go to Bangladesh. Go to everybody. Let's get Ocasio-Cortez's wish. Let us all go on welfare and let those rich people who are getting all this money pay 90% of their income, and then they'll all move out of the country, and we'll be left with a third world wasteland. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, let's bring us back to this market rate housing again.
No, that's
Yeah, it's all built into it.
that's market rate BS. That's what that.
Well, here's why. I mean, Anthony Cordero said this is a leap of faith. As far as I can remember, we've talked about bringing market rate and new housing to help spur the economy after hours and even in hours.
Yep.
It gets even better. He turns around and he says, that's what I envision in being able to develop 28 units and have people with disposable income that can create a synergy, that can create a live and play situation, and that's what I see happening.
Oh,
This is all from Tony Cordero. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah. That's why he closed his coffee shop in the same area.
Right, but
because they couldn't make it, and people with discretionary cash are going to move to Fall River. You know, they're going to come in droves, Tony. You're right, man. They are coming in. They're gonna build the damn railroad tomorrow because you're building this stuff. We are getting a commuter rail tomorrow, Tony. Just because you're going to build this. You know, this is in Iowa. You remember that movie, Field of Dreams?
Yep.
Build it and they'll come.
Yep.
Well, you build it, Tony, and they'll come.
Well, here's the great part about it. He hinted at this TIF meeting that there's a bigger housing project on the horizon. He has a property on the corner of Bedford and 7th Street where he plans to build a 5 or 6 story rental housing project that would create another 125 units should the Pleasant and 3rd Street projects pan out. Bedford and 7th Street, think about that for a second. Where are you going to park 250 cars? Where are you going to park them?
On the roof of the Durfee Union Mills.
There's got to be no parking.
Of course
There's
not.
no parking on Pleasant Street. There's no parking on 3rd Street. These projects are being built without the consideration of parking.
Listen.
And they did the same thing down at Commonwealth Landing. They built all 103 units at Commonwealth Landing. That's 206 parking spaces they needed. They don't even have that.
But
They don't even have that.
there's no parking down there now.
Exactly.
Today, if you go down there at 2:30 this afternoon and try to find a parking place on Bedford Street in that area, you're not going to find a parking place.
You try to find parking on Pleasant Street.
Now you're going to build resident. But look, the whole concept is discretionary income. You know what that means? They're going to be importing more people for subsidized housing because, as I said, do you really believe they got the statistics? But then again, we don't care. We don't care. Here we are statistically with the article. Eviction rates are alarming in gateway cities. Fall River is a gateway city. New Bedford's a gateway city. That's a euphemism for cities with no money.
Right.
Okay? So, you know, who's going to come here? Yeah, and then they're going to thumb through the newspaper. Oh, let's see. Somebody shot in a drive-thru. Let me go and Google. Oh, a few years ago, somebody was killed in that same drive-thru. Oh, shell casings found on this street, that street, the other street. How many stabbings in the last month? Yeah, oh, sure. People with a lot of discretionary cash, it's going to totally revitalize our downtown. They're going to come running to market rate housing in Fall River when they have any other alternative.
And
right?
that drive-through is right next to these new housing projects they're talking about, a couple of blocks away.
You know, the lunacy of, I mean, look, Goebbels, I'm surprised he hasn't risen from the grave in triumph when he sees this propaganda being lapped up by the city council and people to think that this stuff actually works. Fall River it's getting worse every day. When people worked in mills and had jobs, it was a safer place. We had more small businesses. It was a far, far better place. And people who have to live in the reality of Fall River know that. I don't care what the mayor says. He thinks it's safe because they want to manipulate statistics. Look, I will have to echo the sentiment of the person that I ran into at a seminar once when we were discussing something, and we said she was invited to come down here to go over some things, and she said, "Why would I ever want to go to Fall River? Look at the rest of the country, the rest of the world. We're the laughing stock of the world. We're up there with Brexit, with the idiocy that goes on. And this is the kind of stuff that perpetuates it, because it's always the same fix. And what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. How much market housing have we built? How much has it affected it positively? Nothing. So what would give anybody with a modicum of logic and intelligence to think that building even more will have a dramatic effect? And look at this city in its totality. Look at its educational attainment levels, the crime, the daily circus that we've got going on in government. And you truly believe someone who has enough cognitive ability to read would actually come here? You've got to be nuts. You've got to be beyond nuts. You've got to be certifiable. But that's the, they've been doing it now for the last 10 or 15 years, and the city council just keeps doing it. And who's the victims? The taxpayer.
Well, I will say one thing. Tony Cordero and his partners down at Commonwealth Landing filled that place up almost instantly. Before the doors were even open, they were booked solid. But again, that's a waterfront property, easy access to the highway. Those aren't people that are spending money in Fall River. Those are people that are living here only because it's cheaper, and they're working in Providence. They're not even working in Boston. For the economy,
CJ, that Jerry Remy dumped the place,
exactly.
And he had to get it. So that's how much that did for the economy. And most of those people were Fall Riverites. Look, I've been around way too long to believe that kind. They build buildings, and mysteriously, all the places that they're on the board of directors, they move their properties in there. I know the game.
Right.
The game is, look who rents the properties. It's people who they have influence over, who they're on boards. It's not. It wasn't a mystery that he had the coffee concession at Charlton, and all of a sudden he got a ton of South Coast rentals in his properties. Well, it's easy to make money that way when you got guaranteed stuff. It's kind of like when we go back to the Carlton Viveris era, and a rich guy bought a building across from the library, and the welfare department decided to move a place from Troy Street, which, by the way, we just talked about. It used to be on Troy. You remember when the welfare department was on
It was right behind the building we're talking about.
Exactly. And when the welfare department was there, and mysteriously, coincidentally, for people that have got their head in their derriere, the welfare department decided to move its offices into the building that was bought by a very rich campaign supporter of the then mayor. And just coincidentally, too, the head of the welfare department at the time was the mayor's speechwriter. Oops. Pure coincidence. Absolute coincidence. For all you people who don't believe this kind of stuff goes on, take a quick look at Washington. Look at all the dirty deals in Boston. Look at look at the guy that used to be the state rep before Eddie Lambert. He worked in a clothing store for fundamentally minimum wage and commission. He became a state rep, and in 2 terms in Boston, he was a millionaire.
Of course.
Because he got variances and bought properties at discount rates. People just, they don't want to know. That's the problem. They don't want to know. That's why we continue to say, educate yourself. But all they want to do is stick their head in. And I love the saying, because when you tell people, you have to say, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. Yes, there is. Vote people out.
That's it.
Put people in government that are not looking to get rich or get their brothers or cousins or somebody a job.
Well, you know what it is? See no evil.
That's right.
Hear no evil. Speak no evil.
That's right. and give a lot of money.
That's right.
And give a lot of
money. Break out your wallet, baby, because it's coming through. It's coming through.
But look, that's all we ever talk. If we look at 90% of our shows over the last, I don't know how many years, I'd say better than 60 or 70% we talk about are TIFs and crimes. At least. besides politics. So you take politics, TIFs, and crimes, that's about 80% of what we talk about here on almost every show over the course of all the time we've been on the air. But that's Fall River. You know, but we have a higher purpose. Don't worry about it. We're all going to be saved again. We're going to get a solid waste transfer station.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you know, the mayor talked, this a few years ago was voted on a non-binding referendum, was voted unanimously almost by the voters. They wanted it. You know, it was overwhelming majority. And 5 days before the recall election, the mayor announces this private partnership with this company called River Environmental Solutions, which, by the way, at the time of this announcement, was not incorporated in Massachusetts. They were not incorporated. There was no reference to them anywhere in Massachusetts or probably anywhere else. Several days after that, I believe it was Friday of the same week, River Environmental Solutions incorporated in Massachusetts. So the mayor signed a contract with a non-existent entity. Non-existent. And he's saying we're going to get $2 a ton from this waste transfer station. Here's his problem. He forgot to take into consideration that permitting takes time. Kathy Ann Viveris said we would move from BFI Republic Services to our own transfer station operated by RES. I'm just not certain of the timeline. I don't know if we're going to be ready because the contract with BFI is expiring. Correa touted the deal with RES that would save the money and, again, would generate about $780,000 in revenue by collecting $2 per ton from the company. It's amazing how everything he does is going to generate revenue, but we never see the revenue.
Yeah, and even if it does, what is this company? They weren't even incorporated. I think because you brought in the paperwork, that's why they incorporated. So, because you had researched
it was actually Joe Good who did that too. Yeah. Joe Good was looking up that, and I got into a conversation about it. She says, "Yeah, they're not incorporated." I said, "I know they're not." And then she called me up and she says, "You know, they're incorporated today." I said, "Yeah, I noticed." Yeah. She goes,
thanks to the fact that they were exposed as not being incorporated. But again.
And I want to know how a company that wasn't even incorporated at the time of this announcement has between $2 and $10 million to invest in this facility to dispose of 1,000 tons of commercial and demolition debris.
And how much did they invest in campaign contributions?
I'd like to know that too.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too.
And I'm wondering, you know, I'm really wondering. I've got to look a little further into this company's, filing, but.
And does anybody vet this company? This company, look, we're looking at something that could, in theory, actually be a positive on a cost factor. But then again, if they save any money, they'll put it into pay raises for their friends. At least that's my pessimistic opinion. But the reality is this could actually be beneficial to the solid waste problem. However, you think we'd look at companies and vet other companies and really do some research? As you said, they weren't even they weren't even a Massachusetts company at the time. They weren't even licensed and they weren't even incorporated in Massachusetts. But you think we do a little bit more due diligence than rather grab the first one that shows up with with some money to wave at you?
Why would you want to do that?
No, because as I said, this is the government, and when the government makes a mistake, they don't pay. The taxpayer does. You pay. When they screw this up and this company is not, if this company isn't what it appears to be, guess what? They'll just say, "Oh, we gotta take more of your taxes to find something else." Well, hey everybody, be careful in the drive-thrus.
Stay away. Yeah, it's like stay away from McDonald's on Plymouth Avenue. It's a dangerous place. Hey everyone, you have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. And remember, stay angry.
That's not too difficult.